I often tell a lot of my medical representatives in my company that the doctors are supremely knowledgeable. There's nothing that you can teach them. But the doctors, thanks to the kind of patient footfall they do not have time to set out on a voyage of discovery on the latest updates that there is in medical affairs. That's where pharma companies need to step in.
Hi everyone. Welcome in the 20th episode of the Mac Talk powered by Game of Pharma. Today we have with us a very special guest, Mr. Atul Suri sir, who is SBU
Hi.
Head and Vice President in Alembic Pharmaceutical Limited. Welcome on the show, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lokesh and Salman. Glad to be with you again. I remember I was on your second episode, and I'm glad to hear we're reaching almost the 20th episode now. I keep following you on social media too, and I think you boys are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. Sir, today we are discussing a very important topic for pharmaceutical industry, which is KOLs for pharma, key opinion leaders. So, sir, what are roles and responsibilities of KOLs in pharmaceutical industry?
Yeah, so quite clearly, you have KOLs, popularly known as key opinion leaders, really, because in pharma, opinions matter. So, as far as KOLs are concerned, I should just say this at this stage: they are very important people in the entire matrix, right from the drug development stage till where it has to finally reach the patient. At all stages, they have a very defined role, really. I don't want to go into a huge list of a KOL is expected or does these things, because essentially a KOL is a person of great esteem. He's a person of great expertise. He's a person of great eminence. He's a person of great influence. And therefore, when you work along with a KOL, and a KOL has to be very specific for a very specific purpose that a pharma company engages a KOL with, automatically the roles and the way a KOL actually assists the entire therapy will come out very clearly. So KOLs essentially are a very important piece. While we're still talking about KOLs, there is there's another term known as KBLs, who are key business leaders. And typically in the domestic Indian pharma industry, in the branded formulation space, there is this conflict between the marketing guys and the sales guys. The sales guys always want to go after the key business leaders because that's where the numbers lie. And of course, the marketing people want to engage far more with key opinion leaders because they realize that their opinions matter. And an outcome of an engagement with the key opinion leaders will automatically get the numbers in. So if you were to ask me, if I were to choose, of course, a combination is always better. But if I were to choose between a key opinion leader and a key business leader, my take will be to go in for a key opinion leader. Quite clearly, a key opinion leader supports a marketing strategy. The effective implementation of any strategy will lie on the insights that a key opinion leader actually gives out. Basis those insights, a very good marketer can then convert those insights into meaningful communication to the doctor fraternity, so that that knowledge transfer from key opinion leaders down to the practitioners out in the field, in the trade, is seamless, is correct, and is impactful. And therefore, KOLs are important. The other thing I really want to mention about getting KOLs in, it's not that doctors who are operating and are conducting their business out in in their chambers do not know. They are very knowledgeable people. But to offer credibility, that's where KOLs step in. When there is a practitioner out and he knows, oh, there's a person of eminence who's actually told us this, they then understand that to be a truth, really. And then, they get guided in their own manner, and therefore their own practice gets that much more effective. The only thing a KOL does really is he offers that credibility at a large scale, because he's a big name. He's all out there in the open. He's talking, he's making orations at various fora. And the other doctors who don't, unfortunately, have the opportunity of, spending time digging down, or the opportunity to treat people across geographies, then gets a very consolidated insight. Their own insights get generated thanks to the voices of the KOL, and that can then sort of help them in their own practice.
So I have a question regarding the constant engagement of KOLs in pharma companies. So first of all, do the pharma companies hire them on a full-time basis, or it's like a third-party agency whenever the company needs some kind of consultation, they reach out to this KOL? And if one of these, then what is the reason behind it?
Typically, it's not so formal an arrangement where a KOL is, so to speak, on the rolls of a company. Yes, they can join you as part of an advisory panel, KOLs. But I think, well, of course, yes, if you have something very specific, you're developing a drug, you're part of a research, which is an ongoing research to develop a particular drug, they do assist in the drug discovery and the development process. There, yes, these KOLs can then be sort of engaged with in a more formal manner with a very structured and transparent approach. Yes, but since we are talking of the Indian domestic pharma space, we are in the branded formulation generic space. It is important also here for KOLs to associate with, or I would say, get connected with pharma companies. The need is more of the pharma companies to sort of catch on their experiences, their thought leadership, so that the correct medical communication can be made going down to everybody. At the end of the day, KOL's thought is essentially a word of mouth sort of a thought coming in from a big expert, and that can then be communicated. But to answer your question specifically, you can have an extremely formal or a formalized sort of engagement with a KOL in terms of insight gathering. The other place really where KOLs have a very definite role are in clinical trials. They are the key components. You could have a principal investigator who's associated with a particular trial. If you were to interact with, let's say the clinical trial is already done, the molecule has already been launched in the market, you now have to do that very important job. And I've always said this, pharma companies step in as a beautiful conduit, a beautiful channel, a beautiful bridge between the knowledge that exists with the key opinion leaders and the practicing doctors, the practicing physicians. Their perspectives can be picked. So now bringing it up to a principal investigator, let us say there's a particular molecule, like I told you, that is out in the market. If you were able to interact with the principal investigator, you will get to know the exact contours of how this drug actually works. You will be able to pick up those key insights and maybe through the principal investigator, get him on a webinar, get him to a seminar, bring him to a conference where he can then give out his experience so that the larger mass of practitioners across our country can gain from his insights readily and get it totally firsthand from a principal investigator. So these are certain ways and means through which we can use these, not use, but maybe engage with KOLs. Another very important aspect where KOLs step in, and today it's all about skill development also. I often tell a lot of my medical representatives in my company that the doctors are supremely knowledgeable. There's nothing that you can teach them. But the doctors, thanks to the kind of patient footfall they have, they do not have time to set out on a voyage of discovery on the latest updates that there is in medical affairs. That's where pharma companies need to step in. And we are then able to get these KOLs, or we're talking of skill development here. Let us say there's a particular doctor who's extremely adept at a particular technique. So you could also engage with him to come and sort of get him in front of an audience of people, or in a small hands-on workshop where he can demonstrate his skills. And he is a big name. He's a man of eminence. He's a man who's already proven himself for his prowess. He being there on the stage, you will be able to sort of get the other doctors who are attending that workshop to develop their own skills in that particular craft. So to that extent also, not just key opinion leaders, but medical practitioners who've excelled and are of eminence today can, through an engagement facilitated by a pharma company, get that technique out to the practitioners at large.
But so how a pharma company and why a pharma company need a KOL management, sir?
See, KOL management, I'm glad you spoke about the term KOL management. While it's a term that the KOLs would not like, that they are being managed, but the fact is there has to be a strategic objective to your interactions and engagements with KOLs. It is not, oh, he's a big name, he's a great gynecologist, or he's a great diabetologist. Let's get him for a program. Let's request him to talk for that. No. Any KOL engagement program has to have a very strategic sort of approach. You should know as a pharma company, what is it that you want communicated in the correct manner. Now, of course, there are commercial objectives also that step in for pharma companies, but that apart, after having identified, and I'll just give you the key steps towards KOL management really, is based on whatever outcomes that you want. You identify a particular KOL, a particular therapy area. Is he an expert? Is he a specialist in that particular sub field? After having identified a group of them, you map these people, you profile them for what they are. So you're able to sort of say, okay, in this particular therapy area, if I have a drug that sort of in these indications helps a particular patient type, he's the correct guy to talk about it. He's the correct guy who's done so much about it. He's the correct guy to speak to an audience or to write or to come up on a webinar or whatever the engagement may be. So basis all of that, you plan it, then you plan your engagement. You also have to see what sort of a KOL is he. Does he have that eminence, or is it just knowledge which is just tucked in a way? So that fine balance in selecting a KOL is also very important in terms of a pharma company. The pharma company may find a KOL who's extremely adept, has taken part in a lot of sort of studies, a lot of clinical trials, is an academician, is very good at what he does, but he's not able to sort of communicate it in the correct manner. So that's where pharma also steps in. You, if he's really good, you can even assist that particular person in sort of in the articulation of whatever knowledge transfer that there needs to be. And so therefore, I come at it again. KOL management is an extremely scientifically arrived at strategy wherein you identify the person, you map the requirements that you need, you profile everything in the right manner, plan what sort of an engagement has to be rolled out. You roll out the sort of engagement, and then you will see the outcomes coming in. So it has to be a stepwise, deliberate approach. Only then will you see the outcomes happening like the way you plan them to be.
We are shifted from the physical channels to the digital channels for KOLs, like from shifting the knowledge. Okay. So, sir, various channels currently are there in the digital channels also. Like one of thing which we are doing currently is podcast. Podcast is a great medium where you can interact with the subordinates, like KOL interact with the like any doctor for the knowledge sharing experience, because it's an effective medium. Like you can I can listen at my time, like if I'm free at 5 p.m. I can listen, and if I'm free at 8 p.m. then I can listen, sir. So, sir, how pharma company shifted from physical channels to the digital channels, and what you think, what will be the future of this webinar and knowledge sharing platform for the KOLs?
Yeah, so I think in your question all lies the answers really. In the build-up of your question, you very clearly sort of gave the advantages of digital. While we do have key opinion leaders, and key opinion leaders will remain key, you today have a new concept of DOLs, who are digital opinion leaders. And digital opinion leaders is nothing but a KOL, leveraging digital. How does he leverage digital? By presence on a digital platform, by presence on social media, and like you very correctly said, by being part of podcasts, by being part of interactive sort of digital events, being part of webinars, of cutting out little snippets of extremely bite-sized messages that need to go, and proliferating it through the means of digital, through whatever means they may be. I even see a lot of doctors on social media today talking about very specific things. whether it's on Instagram, whether it's even on LinkedIn. A lot of these very, very crisp messages are coming out by key opinion leaders on digital platforms. Now, the advantages of digital are very clear. And the way I look at it, I think convenience is the most, important benefit that has accrued from digital. Convenience, not just for you, like you said, if you want to see something at 5 o'clock in the evening, it is readily available to you at a click of a button, but also convenience on part of the person who's presenting it. He can prepare himself, he can edit what he has to say, he can make his articulation far more crisp. Because like I told you, there may be some people who are really good, their brains are great, but they're not able to articulate it in a very correct manner. They can't convey what they want to convey. But digital gets you that. You can get them to prepare, get a speech, get them to edit it. And so therefore you have a very crisp and concise message getting across to your targeted audience. So convenience is there from both sides. Like I said, the person delivering the message and the person receiving the message. The second important thing is archival. When I talk about archival, digital can be stored anywhere. Let us say you heard something today, maybe on this podcast, and maybe months later, you think about it, but you're a little fuzzy in your mind, and you say, hey, that guy did tell me something about it. All you need to do is get back, search for it digitally. It's available with you within 30 seconds. You can revisit what they said. You can reshape and realign your perspective. So that's the second biggest advantage of being archival. Third and most important actually is the reach that it has. A physical event is obviously up, the maximum you can get is the seating capacity that actually exists there. But with digital, you can actually go places across geographies. There is just nothing that restricts digital. So going forward, everything has to be digital. One of the bigger advantages really during COVID and the lockdown was you had no other option. There was no other way to connect. Why of KOLs and everybody else, doctor and patient also couldn't. So digital was always very important, was shaping up very well. The only thing that COVID and the lockdown did was it sort of accelerated the entire process. And today, a lot of more people, apart from using it, they're now comfortable using it. Earlier, people were a little apprehensive. They felt the human touch wasn't there. But today, for all those advantages that I said earlier of convenience, of it being archived, of the reach, the fourth biggest thing I really say here is the comfort of using digital as a media, having realized all the advantages that lie with it. So digital definitely is not the way forward. Really, it is already just the way. This is the way any sort of knowledge transfer will happen by KOLs. It's going to be digital. So yes, we will look forward to far more DOLs, like they say, digital opinion leaders.
Sir, what are the key factors while determining the right KOL for any organization?
The identification of the KOL is very important. It obviously has to be a combination, like I told you, of the expertise that that person possesses and the influence that he has. You can't just have somebody who's influential, style without substance, like they say. Nor can you have somebody who's a total expert but has zero influence. How do you decide expertise? Again, you need to decide expertise basis on what you want done, in the sense that if there is a particular molecule, you want to talk of it in a particular indication, does that particular KOL have the expertise in disease management of that particular type? Is he a champion in a particular therapy area? Does he have adequate papers or publications in his name? Is his orations acceptable in various associations? Is he members of key committees of various associations, whether he's part of the ADA or if he's a gynecologist? Is he part of FOXY? Is he in some of the very important subcommittees of that association? Has he been a principal investigator in any of the clinical trials? So that will determine whether he's an expert or not. While he may be an expert, the desirable thing for any pharma companies, apart from being an expert, does he also have a fair amount of patient footfall happening there? Now, the reason about the patient footfall is not about a commercial angle for the pharma company. But a patient footfall going to him gives that expert also live expertise of handling various types of patients. And that, in fact, enhances his own expertise in a far greater manner. Having said that, does he have the influence? Is he a thought leader? Is he an acceptable thought leader? I hope there are not any political affiliations. When I mean political affiliations, I don't mean the politics of governance or the government of the country. By politics, I mean within the association, you have certain other politics that maybe, is he universally accepted across all doctors? That then would be the ideal combination to sort of identify a KOL. And in my view, these are the key attributes of identifying a KOL before you actually set out to engage with him.
How important is for pharma company to constant engage with the KOL?
I think KOL engagement and has to be constant. Your question is very clear as to how constant in touch should a company be with a KOL. My view is an engagement is a constant thing. An engagement cannot be a one-off incident that, oh, okay, this drug has come in, he's a specialist, let's knock at his door, let's have a conversation. No, that's not the way it happens. Engagement has to be over a period of time. Engagement has to be without any sort of visible and apparent commercial outcomes. That's what real engagement is about. Because I can tell you this also, while engaging with KOLs, I've very often gone and met them, sat across the table with them, had normal conversations with them. It is in these normal conversations that you are able to garner key insights. You're able to see what the unmet needs really are. The doctor says, oh, while the drug does exist, if there is a combination coming in here, maybe it could work. Today, you have such wonderful combinations coming in the anti-diabetic space. Today, you have combinations of an SGLT2 and a DPP4. Now, you don't have any references archived which you can fall back on. You have to meet these KOLs and understand it and get these KOLs to talk. And this can happen only with constant engagement with these. It's like I said in the beginning, it's not a one-off thing. Oh, this is an event, you come on board, event done, leave. No. KOL engagement has to be totally constant without any overriding commercial interests. Only then will you genuinely be able to garner insights, and you will truly be a beautiful conduit of a knowledge transfer from the experts to the practitioners out in the country.
Thank you so much for the podcast. It's been pleasure for me, for my team to host you on another episode. Like, we started from the second episode, and you are the first pharma leader which we have introduced from our podcast. And like, it's been like 19 episodes, 6 months journey, and now we are at 20th episode. So, sir, always it's been a pleasure to host you, sir, on our show.
Thank you, Lokesh, and thank you, Salman. I'm very happy to interact with you all. And like I said, it's digital that gets everything across. If there are people who can gain even an iota of what we've said today, I think you would have met your purpose of organizing and hosting these podcasts. So thank you so much. I deeply appreciate what you people are doing, and good luck to you all. May God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.